Hello, I'm Andrew Craston, Director of Economics at ASFA. We've just released new research which looks at the early release of superannuation for housing and whether such policies would help address housing affordability for the majority of aspiring first home buyers. An often used measure of housing affordability is growth in median house prices relative to growth in average earnings for Australian workers. Since the turn of the century, Australia's median house price has increased by around 7% per year. In comparison, average full-time earnings for employees have risen by around 4% per annum. At the same time, the share of adults who live in their own home, that is, the rate of home ownership, has been declining. This is particularly the case for younger people. For people aged 30 to 34, the rate of home ownership has decreased from around 60% to around 50% over the last 20 years. So, would allowing early access to super make home ownership more attainable for the majority of aspiring first home buyers? Let's look at this chart for Sydney. The bars at the bottom of the chart show the combined super balances for couples who are renting. The super balances are organised into groups. Couples in the first group have the lowest super balances, couples in the second group have the second lowest super balances, and so on. The horizontal lines show the cost of a 20% deposit for a median-priced house and for a median-priced unit in Sydney. Particularly at the lower end of the distribution, the chart shows a significant gap between super balances and deposit requirements. Now, of course, couples will also have savings outside of super to contribute to a housing deposit. However, couples who are at the lower end of the distribution of super balances are also likely to be on relatively low incomes and have relatively low savings outside of superannuation. Overall, this suggests that for couples who are at the low end of the distribution of super balances, the additional funds from their combined super accounts would be unlikely to be sufficient to reach the deposit thresholds. ASFA's research demonstrates that early release of super for housing will not address affordability for those most struggling with home ownership. Instead, a holistic approach is required to tackle Australia's housing affordability challenge.